Welcome to Financial Strategies with Andrew Agemy in Connecticut and Daniel Agemy in Colorado.
If you ever looked on the internet and found out how much the average person makes in this world and how much they live on an annual basis, it's something like $700 a year. The poorest American is richer than most people in this world. We certainly have a lot to be grateful for as Americans. And as Americans, it certainly is a wonderful life. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today, we're talking about It's a Wonderful Life. And is it a wonderful retirement? AAA, there's people that have got wonderful retirements. There's people that don't know what the retirement is, and there's people that know the pains that retirement can bring.
That's right. That's right. Very much like George Bailey in the movie It's a Wonderful Life, right? And here we are at Christmas, and most people think of the movie It's a Wonderful Life as a great Christmas movie. And we have such a great opportunity, but there are people just like in that movie, right? Like George Bailey went through and he had difficult times in life, right? And all kinds of different things. And the prospects when he lost the money, the company's money, and the prospects of what was going to happen to him at that point just discouraged him so much. He took his eye off the ball. He took his eye off of what should be happening. And that's what we want retirees and pre-retirees to do today, is be able to focus on what needs to be focused on. And that's why we've come to you today to wish you Merry Christmas and talk to you about It's a Wonderful Life. And it's one thing to get to retirement. It's another thing to be in retirement. And we want your retirement to be wonderful. So, how can we do that? Well, gifts are a big thing of this year, at this time of year. And we want to give you the gift of a wonderful retirement. Right, Daniel?
Yeah, absolutely. And people will say, well, that's lofty. That's pretty crazy. But, we want to keep this fun. We want to give people some education and help people maybe understand and know things that they don't know. And so today we're taking some time to be grateful and to think about the blessings, to think about all the wonderful gifts, to slow down a little bit and really appreciate all the things that we have, the family, the important things. Just like George Bailey, as you said, got lost a little bit, forgot what was actually important. But the important part was he didn't give up. He kept going. And in the end, unwrapped the big gift of all the compounding of what he had done through his life. All the compounding came to fruition at the end, and it was able to get him out of the big jam.
Right, exactly. And that's what we want to be able to draw people's attentions to today. And so with that, what did George do throughout his life? George just gave. He gave all the time. And giving is a very important thing in life. And as you give, there's this law of nature that you give and you get back. And so many times we get back so much more than what we give in a variety of ways. And maybe we give money and maybe we don't get back money, but we get back other things, right? George didn't give of his money. He gave of himself to all these people. And then in the end, they gave money when he needed money. And so, when we're talking about these kinds of things and giving, what my mind goes to is giving back to God a portion that's what's due him. Now, I know everybody in the audience doesn't necessarily agree with me from that standpoint, and that's fine. But, most people, and especially this time of year, people think of giving, charitable giving of one way or another, right? Giving to those who are in need, and rightly so. Some people are thinking about it in order to get the tax deduction. Some people are thinking about it because all the mailers that come in the mail, people want money, right? And there's a lot of different reasons why people give, but the key is to be able to give, right? And why do we give? We give because we recognize how blessed we are. We recognize we want to share our blessings with others. And that's a very good thing that many of us have been taught from our parents to be able to give to others. Some have been taught that by the Bible. Some just been taught that by motivational speakers that say, hey, it's good to be able to give 10% of your money to those who are in need, because there is a certain phenomenon that happens that when you give, that you get at the same time. And when we're talking about that, one of the things that has happened is that when people give to charities, many people today are not able to write that off of their taxes anymore. Not that you need, and if you're giving to write it off your taxes, that's not the best, that's not the reason to give. But if you're giving and you want to write it off, giving and want to write it off otherwise anyway, that's a good thing if you can do that. Take advantage of that and save some money. I'm for paying taxes, but I don't want to pay any more taxes than I legally have to. And with that, there's a certain thing that's called charitable giving or QCDs, qualified charitable distributions, that are available for people in their IRAs. And for that, we're going to talk about that in a minute here, but I want to give that out to those in our listening audience. We have a paper that talks about how to give and receive charitable contributions. Love to be able to give that paper to you today. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is It's a Wonderful Life. And one of the reasons why it's a wonderful life, because of how we're able to give to others, just as George Bailey gave. And this paper, How to Give and Receive Charitable Distributions or Contributions, is yours for free by calling us at 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616 for a free copy. You listen to Financial Strategies because people don't know what people don't know. And that's why you listen, so we can help educate you on some of those things you don't know about retirement and pre-retirement. So talking about, Dan, you want to talk about the QCDs at all, or do you want me to just continue with that?
Well, they changed tax rules, and basically what it did was it made it more difficult for people to get a tax deduction on their charitable giving. So a lot of people, maybe they're tithing, as you mentioned, Andrew, maybe they just like to give to certain causes. They might have $5,000 or $10,000 that they gave away. But if they're married, filing jointly, they may have close to $30,000 of just a standard deduction. And so if they took the deduction for the $5,000 that they gave away or $10,000, they'd give up the $30,000. So it didn't make any sense. Well, what people are able to do, and a lot of people don't know this, although we talk about it quite often, is they can give out of their brokerage accounts. They can give out of their qualified plans or their IRAs.
Right.
And basically, if you have a IRA at Fidelity or you have an IRA at Schwab, you instruct that brokerage company to cut a check from your qualified retirement plan to the charity or the cause that you want to donate to, and it comes out as non-taxable income. So basically what you just did was you still get your standard deduction and you took this money out of your plan. Now, if you have required minimum distributions you have to take out, that can count towards your retirement or your RMDs. Now, the trick here is you need to be 70 and a half or older for you to be able to qualify for this tax deduction or this tax-free distribution.
Right. And it's a beautiful thing if you're interested in giving in that way and you're 70 and a half or older. If we put that in the number standpoint, let's just say you have $100,000 coming in and you have 20,000 of that 100,000 coming from your IRA, because it's maybe it's a minimum distribution, maybe it's what you're living on. And let's say you're giving $10,000 to the church or some nonprofit organization of that $100,000. Well, normally speaking, you take your standard deduction, maybe it's $25,000, $30,000. And so you're being taxed in that example on $70,000 if your standard deduction is $30,000. Well, if you're 70 and a half and you give $10,000 to a nonprofit organization, now that $100,000 of income is $90,000 of income. And then you take your standard deduction of $30,000 and now you're paying tax on $60,000 instead of $70,000 So it's a way that you can pick up, save some money from paying taxes that is perfectly legal, but you have to know how to do it and you have to do it properly. And it's one of those things that maybe you shouldn't be trying this at home. It all depends on where you're coming from. Now, for those things where you're given $100 here, $200 there, that kind of thing, that makes it much more difficult. This is for larger items, maybe whether you're given on a monthly basis or once a year, sizable offerings or giftings in that form or fashion. But that's kind of the concept.
Yeah, it's a neat way. If you're charitable minded, you can get a tax break, so it benefits you. Plus, just the goodwill of giving, you benefit the charity. You help the cause. If it's, supporting food kitchens or children that are malnourished or something like that, you're helping the kid, you're helping yourself. And it's kind of like Santa showed up for both of you guys at the same time, right?
Right. Exactly. And one of the ministries, one of the situations that are near and dear to our heart here is Operation Christmas Child that Samaritan's Purse puts on, where they send a shoebox basically that is filled with all kinds of things for a child, an underprivileged child throughout the world. And the thing about that is that really hits me is thousands of these boxes are sent out every year, probably tens of thousands every year by Samaritan's Purse. And only one child, there's only one box. Any child will only receive one box in their lifetime. And that's just the great need that is out there and whatnot. So there's all kinds of things that are out there that you can give to and that are available. But the key is if you're charitable minded and you're over 70 and a half years old, you got some great opportunity to be able to take advantage of another tax break for you. Well, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is It's a Wonderful Life. Yes, it's so wonderful because as Americans, we have so many things available. And when it comes to retirement, having more than enough income to live the rest of your life is a wonderful life. So we today have a special gift for you since it's Christmas, which is a gratitude journal. This gratitude journal, we'd love to put this in your hand for free. This thing is a journal where you can put down every day 3 things that you're grateful for. It's a wonderful thing to be able to focus on gratitude with an attitude of gratitude. You can go a long way in life. It also has some other items that you can put down. And how could this day be a better day? What was the best thing that happened this day? Those kinds of things. We love to put that book in your hand for free by calling us at 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616 for your free copy of the Gratitude Journal. The journal will be able to help you be able to focus on gratitude. Yours for free for the next 5 first-time callers.
Do you have any questions for me about retirement income source?
I just want to make sure I can invest well enough to have enough income, enjoy my retirement.
We build a custom retirement plan based around your income and goals.
How do I know I can trust you?
Building trust does take time, but our investment advisory arm is comprised of fiduciaries, which means our obligation is to you. So you can enjoy your retirement with a little more income stability.
I'm in.
That's 2 out of 3.
This is Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
There's a lot of ways to take a retirement, to have retirement. And a lot of people look at their portfolios and they say, I need income. I no longer have a paycheck. I need some money to live off of. And they look for all these creative ways to engineer some type of income, right? We were talking to somebody about that a few days ago. Coming up with these elaborate plans to create income. And the contrast is for somebody who has a portfolio that's generating income. When you look at the portfolio, you look at the activity in the portfolio, one has all these expenses coming out to engineer the income. Expense for this, expense for that, expense for this, expense for fees. The other has all this income coming into the account. This company paid you this much money. This company paid you this much income. This company paid you this much income, right? And it's a huge contrast. I'm Daniel Agemy.
And I'm Andrew Agemy. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is It's a Wonderful Life. Merry Christmas to you. And we're glad that you're joining us again today. And we've got some good stuff coming to you. And you're right, Daniel, there's this huge contrast between engineering income and withdrawing from people's portfolios in retirement and generating income from within that can be used to either take as income or reinvest it to organically grow their portfolio so that they can have a wonderful life. But the terrible thing, Daniel, right, that you and I just hate to see is how it's not a wonderful life for some people, right? How some people run out of money before they run out of life and one of the greatest reason for that is because they make a huge mistake.
They make a huge mistake. And it's disheartening because I hear so-called professionals trying to get people in these minds, which is the opposite of the mistake. They say things like, you're guaranteed to make 8% in the S&P 500. The S&P is going to give you 3% every year, guaranteed. We're not saying that. That is false when people say that. But I hear it all the time from even professionals, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
Exactly. And that is retirees. The number one fear retirees have is running out of money before they run out of life. So that's why? Because that's painful, and that's not the way to have a wonderful life if they were run out of money. But the number one mistake that they make, and they make it over and over again, unfortunately, is not changing from a distribution mindset, an accumulation mindset, accumulation or growth mindset into a distribution and growth mindset, right? One where they can still grow their money, but it's growing organically. Baby boomers, especially, a lot of baby boomers are retiring every day these days. And baby boomers been enamored with what has happened in the stock market because the Dow in 1980 was 700. And today it's 43,000 or somewhere up there. Oh, it's over 40,000. And so it's gone up a lot since then. And so they think, well, the market always goes up. Well, that's a 40-year period. Unfortunately, and you didn't need your money over that 40-year period. Well, the problem is if you keep your money invested the way it was while you built it, you could be in for a rude awakening later and end up with those people where it's not a wonderful life.
Right. There's two things. There's real world experience, and there's looking at charts, or there's listening to YouTubers, or there's your past experience, however long that may be, right? But when we look back at history and we see what has worked and what hasn't worked, what we see is it's a lot different in real life than what it looks like in a chart. It's a lot different in real life than what back testing will do. And there's this whole marketing machine of these big asset management companies, some of these trillion-dollar asset managers, right, that have unlimited marketing budgets. And what they're doing is they're trying to convince people that a fund, if you just get the right fund, you're going to be okay. The difficulty is a lot of these funds are trying to engineer the income to get you what you need, or they're based off of false assumptions. Something like, well, the market always does 8%. So that means from year to year, I'm going to be okay. Right? Yeah. And what we're talking about is giving yourself a gift, giving yourself a real income, because when you look at the real income, it's coming into the account in when markets are going up, when markets are going down, and when markets are going sideways. Whereas this engineered income or these funds, well, people saying you can depend on the S&P to do whatever. That's only when things are going up. And you can really cannibalize the principal. You can really run out of money if when you retire, you're depending on those funds to go up and they go down or sideways. You may not be able to recover from a pitfall like that. Whereas what you're talking about is switching from that accumulation stage of life to a distribution where you're just spending the money coming in. You're spending those dividends and interest. So for example, you've got $100,000 and it's creating 6%. Well, that's $6,000 a year that's coming into the account. You can do whatever you want. You can talk about those charitable contributions we talked about, and you can donate to somebody, some organization. You can spend that $6,000, or you can reinvest it and grow the portfolio organically. Where a lot of the myths going around right now is that you're always going to do 8% in the stock market, but it doesn't mean you'll get 8% every year. It could go up or it could go down. You might have a year where you earn minus 30%. And if that's a year you retire and your portfolio drops, that can really get you in trouble. It doesn't mean just because an average of 8 to 10% does not mean you get it every single year.
Right. A couple of things, Daniel. You said how people talk about the S&P. You can depend upon it. The only thing you can depend upon the S&P to do is go up, down, and sideways. That's the only thing you can depend upon the S&P to do. The other thing that you said, Daniel, that people say is you'll be okay. And who wants to just be okay, right? I don't want to be just okay. I want to have the best. I want to be in great shape, right? And that's why it's not a wonderful life for some people, because they're settling for second best. They're settling for okay instead of what's best. You're listening to Financial Strategies. I'm Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is, it's a wonderful life. And when you're set up for retirement properly, it is a wonderful life. If you have an attitude like George Bailey of giving, it is a wonderful life. That's why we like to put this paper in your hand that we have. This how to give and receive charitable contributions. Giving to others is a huge thing that shows your gratitude and goes a long way for multiplying, because I have a friend that actually we should have given away this book as well, Daniel. Give to get to give, to get some more, to give some more, to get some more, to give some more, to get some more, right? And that kind of thing. So the point being here is that we have this paper for you. We'd love to put it in your hand for free by calling us at 800-725-7616 for your free copy. How to give and receive charitable contributions. You listen to Financial Strategies because people don't know what people don't know. You listen to us, you're going to learn something. Daniel, when I was talking about that, right, of not just being okay, right? I think of some of these variable annuities that I see with people have these income riders on, and they have all these fees that are going in there, and they're digging into the principal so that there's less money to go to their heirs. And then not only is that, but they've got like maybe a 5 income that is going to produce on it. Again, that's okay. That's okay. But who wants okay? I mean, I'd rather see 6 or 7% as far as income goes. And if you're in the listening audience and you've got a variable annuity or you've got any kind of annuity, we should probably be talking, because the government has actually given you a gift right now. Here we are, Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. And the government has given us a gift with interest rates being what they are. It's time to reevaluate your annuities. Are they really doing what you want them to do? And can you either go into a different annuity or get out of the annuity that you have and go into something else that will pay you better than that annuity will pay you with less risk? And if you're a variable annuity, certainly there are a lot of things out there that are much less risk and can probably be working a lot harder for you. I mean, would you rather, if you want a car that's safe, good in the snow, carries a lot of luggage, would you like to have a 2-seater sports car with snow tires and a trailer hitch on it with roll bars? Or would you rather have an all-wheel drive SUV? And so variable annuities many times are like that 2-seater sports car with roll bars and trailer hitch and snow tires. Crazy vehicle, a jury-rigged vehicle. But point being here is that many people are set for disaster and they don't know it. And if you're not going to know it until it's probably too late. Running out of money doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to run out of money. First you can't maybe go see the grandkids anymore. You can't afford to fly to see the grandkids for Christmas. Then maybe you stop sending the grandkids Christmas presents. And then you can't buy a new car anymore. You have to buy, a used car. And then as time goes on, inflation happens and whatever, and you run out of more and more money, because the more you dig into your principal, the faster you run out of money. And then you find yourself running out of money and you have to go into a convalescent home because you can't take care of yourself. You can't pay anybody to take care of yourself. And I don't know anybody that has that on their bucket list, that they want to run out of money, go in convalescent home and die. Most people I know want to stay home as long as possible. In order to stay home, you have to have a robust portfolio. You have to take care of your portfolio. So for some people, if they're not watching, it's not a wonderful life. But for others, you can have a wonderful life in retirement, having more than enough income to live the rest of your life the way that you want to live the rest of your life. That's something to be grateful for. And we have a book that we'd like to give you. I see running out of time. I had time to take a break. And we have a book. It's called The Gratitude Journal. We'll love to put in your hand for the first 5 first-time callers. We're free. This, you know what? This is Christmas. We're going to give it to anybody. You call up, call us, and we'll give you this Gratitude Journal. This journal is something really cool that I like and been doing for a discipline that I've been using for years, is writing down 3 things that I'm grateful for every day. Sometimes it could be the same thing, because sometimes it's different things. But also, it gives you a book to be able to do that. And it also gives you other things that you can look at, like how could this day have been, how could I made this day better? How could I become a better person? Different things like that. Great tool to be able to use for first 5 callers, whether you're first time or not first time. 800-725-7616. If you're a client, make sure you call for your free copy. 800-725-7616 for your free copy of the Gratitude Journal. Call now.
This is Financial Strategy with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
AAA growing up, we would ask Mom, we'd be like, Mom, can we have this? Or Mom, can we have that? And she would always be trying to think of a way to tell us that either we couldn't afford it or it wasn't right. And she'd say things like, there's no such thing as free, or things like that. And I distinctly remember being like, well, Dad just got a free cell phone. And she'd be like, it wasn't really free. This was when cell phones are new, right? It wasn't really free. You have to sign a contract and pay them money for X amount of years. Well, what about we went to the restaurant and they gave us, whoever owned the restaurant gave us a free meal. Well, it wasn't really free because the owner paid for it. We didn't pay for it, but somebody paid for it, right? And there's always the thing. The more you think about it, you're like, oh, there's not a free lunch. Well, you and I might have something to say about that. I'm Daniel Agemy.
And I'm Andrew Agemy. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is It's a Wonderful Life. Merry Christmas to you. And we're trying to bring you a gift of financial independence and some other good things along the way. And you're absolutely right, Daniel. This father-son team coming to you because people don't know what people don't know. Well, Daniel, your mother is a wonderful mother and very smart. And I'm so happy that she taught you guys that thing with their homeschooling and whatnot. But that's what we're trying to bring the people to in the audience, right? Because they think that the market goes up over time, and it kind of does, right? But they could get caught like in a game of musical chairs without a chair when it comes down during retirement. It's one thing if they're 30 years old or 40 years old, maybe even 50 years old, then it comes down. But when they're in their 60s, 70s, 80s and beyond and having to use that money, well, that's being caught without a chair in the game musical chairs. But a key aspect here is to have a wonderful life is to have your money working hard for you, right? And that's almost like a free lunch. If your money's working hard, making money, right? Then you don't have to work. Isn't that a wonderful gift?
Well, AAA, come on. What is that? I mean, I literally heard somebody the other day say the S&P is free money. If I had to build my wealth again, if I had to build my $1 million again, what I would do is buy cheap, low-cost index funds because it's guaranteed to compound at a certain rate of return, and it's basically free money. And I said, that is not true. That is horribly not true. It's not free because you're taking on a lot of risk. And this person obviously hasn't experienced that risk before. Maybe they experienced the COVID downturn that came back in minutes, it seemed. Yeah. But they didn't go through something like the 1929 crash. They didn't have any real money in the tech crash. They didn't go through a Japan market crash. They didn't go through any of these real corrections that are just human nature. They're normal. They're basing it on their past experience of the last 12 or 15 years where everything's been perfect. We're not taught you don't mean put your money to work hard like that, right? Where you just get into the market as it's doing good and you close your eyes and hope for the best.
Right, exactly. Let's look at your money working hard like you work hard for your money. What do? You go to work every day and you do your job, you produce whatever you do at work, and then you get a paycheck, right? So that's you working hard for your money, for your paycheck. Well, if your money went to work for you every day and your money got a paycheck at the end of the month so that you got more money on your money, wouldn't that be a beautiful thing? And the bigger the paycheck that your money is creating for, isn't that even more? And well, if you don't need it, you can reinvest it so that you get an even bigger paycheck. That is what I'm talking about. So many of us work real hard, right? A sweat on our brows, just like, in the story of Cain and Abel, the result of sin in the world, and Adam and Eve sinning was to work the ground by the sweat of the brow. And we work hard for our money, and that is a good thing from a variety of ways. But when our money is not working hard for us, when our money's sitting on the beach sipping pina coladas, that's problematic. And I want to get my money in the sweatshop. I want to get your money in a sweatshop where it's working so hard and sweating off of its brow so that I can be sitting on the beach sipping my favorite beverage. So that's what we're talking about, is money working hard and compounding the old-fashioned way. You listen to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is It's a Wonderful Life. Merry Christmas to you. And we're glad to be able to bring up the story of gifting, of financial independence to you. And it's not a story. It's a true deal. But how do you know if your money's working hard for you? How do you know if you're going to run out of money before you run out of life? How do you know if you're going to have more than enough income to live the rest of your life the way that you want to live? Well, how we know and how people that come to us know is by the retirement risk report. It will help you understand if you're going to outlive your money. We have a paper today to explain that report. And that report will help you this paper will help you to understand how the report acts to be able to help you to know what you don't know when it comes to retirement. We'd love to put this paper in your hand for free by calling us at 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616 for your free copy of the Retirement Risk Report, RRR. Ask for it by name, RRR, right? So you listen to Financial Strategies. Today's topic is It's a Wonderful Life. And it's a wonderful life having more than enough income that you need to live the rest of your life. Daniel and Andrew Agemy coming to you on Financial Strategies. Daniel, how can people have a wonderful life with financial independence? How can they make sure of that? What can they do?
Well, Everything you just talked about, right? That retirement risk report is a great start. And anybody who is in or near retirement owes it to themselves to get that second opinion. Second opinions save lives, right? And the other thing is, you hear all these car insurance commercials, call Geico and save 15% or whatever it may be, right?
Right.
Well, how many times do you show people that they could get a 20, 25, 30, 50% increase in their income from what their retirement income, from what they're currently getting to what they could get? I mean, we've seen a lot bigger than that. I don't want to reserve anything like that.
A 20% increase in their retirement income. So if they're getting if their income is producing $2,000 a month from their assets, and a 20% income means that $2,000 a month goes from $2,000 to $2,400 a month, right?
That's exactly what that means. That's like going knocking on your boss's door and saying, I'd like a 20% increase in my pay. And the boss say, how about a 50% increase? Right? And that's what I'm saying. People owe it to themselves to check that out. So that retirement risk report will show you a few different things. One, it will show you the income you're making, and it will show you the income you could be making. Two, it'll show you the safety. Are you investing by contract? We keep talking about how people are promoting the market as being the best way to make money, but we'll show you the risks. This report will show you the risk involved in the market or whatever you're in, because it will look at the individual things you're in compared to the contractual things we are always talking about that produce income. And then it will show you your tax diversification, and it will help you understand your tax diversification and what again, tax diversification is one of the closest things to a free lunch, right? Because if you get that right, you can get as close as possible to that free lunch. So I would say that the two closest things to the free lunch are getting your tax diversification right, and just diversification in general. Because when you're diversified properly, what ends up happening is you lower your risk and you increase your return. And that's the closest thing to a free lunch that you could get, right? Is by when you reduce risk, getting more return. That doesn't make sense, but that can happen with proper diversification.
Yeah, you got that. You got that right. And a free lunch is a gift. And so we're giving you this gift today on the show as we talk about It's a Wonderful Life, and just a beautiful thing, right? So there's practical advice and the concept of, well, one of the things that happens so much, Daniel's referred to it, how people are saying, oh, the S&P 500 always goes up, or you're guaranteed, or whatever, but they don't have the experience. They don't know, or at least remember some of the things that happen. They haven't studied history to be able to recognize and to learn from history. For those in our listening audience, you may or may not know that we started our 35th year here a few weeks ago. And so in our firm, we have over 150 years worth of experience within the financial industry, within all the different members of the firm and whatnot. So we know a little bit, we know about finances, we know about history in the market, we know how to be able to help people in and close to retirement, because that's who we specialize with. People in and close to retirement, people who are having $300,000, $500,000 plus in their retirement accounts, to be able to help them to be able to retire and stay retired. Now, a lot of people out there are working with 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds, and all doing this a similar type of stuff, but just to varying degrees. And that doesn't cut it if you want to make sure that you're able to retire and stay retired, if you want to make sure that you have a wonderful life in retirement. You listen to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy, and the show's going quickly today, and it's time for us to take another break before we finish up in the last segment. But before we do, I would like to put in your hand, we have a book for all those in our listening audience today, especially clients. And if it called before, you're welcome to call again. So in the spirit of Christmas, in the spirit of giving, we're going to give to get some more, to give some more, to get some more, give some more, right? And we believe in giving. And so with that, let me just take this opportunity. Daniel, you representing your other 7 siblings, For those in our listening audience, Daniel's my son, has been with me for 15 years in this. Daniel, I'd like to say to you and to your siblings, thank you for allowing me to give to people over the years in the way that I have, so that now we're able we've received, and now we're able to give more and more, because you guys, you and your siblings paid when I wasn't home at night, when I wasn't around times. We had a lot of fun together. We were able to go on trips and we were able to do a lot of different things, but you also paid by not having me around with different things, so that I could, while I was helping people, and I was doing that, and now we're receiving the rewards of that as time has gone on. So let me just say that, not just to you, but to you representing your siblings here today, in the attitude of gratitude, that I'm grateful to you and you guys. You didn't know what you were doing. It was just, you guys are grown up and doing what was before you, right? But today we're able to do this. We're able to have this radio show. We're going to reach thousands of people, educate thousands of people a year in regard to how to be able to not run out of money in their lifetime. And thank you for that. So we have this gratitude journal today called the Gratitude Journal. Call 800-725-7616 for your free copy. And as I said, if you're a client, please call. Anybody that wants to call in the spirit of giving, we're giving this out today. 800-725-7616 for your free copy of the Gratitude Journal. Call now.
The biggest mistake retirees make is not switching from the growth model to the income model. You know, a good retirement plan is having enough income to last the rest of your life. Any problem in retirement, it can be solved with income. The biggest concern that retirees have is running out of money. The second biggest concern is that they want to grow their money so that they don't run out of money. And they think it's synonymous when it's not necessarily the case. People don't know what they don't know. And they're not going to know unless somebody tells them. People think that the only thing that they can do to grow their money is by investing for growth in the stock market. And it's very much a herd mentality. But you can only get growth when the market goes up. When they invest for income, they're able to get money no matter what happens. I'm Andrew Agemy, founder and CEO of Agemy Financial Strategies. We've been helping people enjoy stress-free retirement for over 30 years.
You're locked on to Financial Strategy with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
Recently, I was talking to one of our radio listeners who had millions of dollars in all kinds of mutual funds. I mean, they were global mutual funds. They were balanced mutual funds. There were bond mutual funds. There were IT mutual funds. There were healthcare mutual funds. There's government bond mutual funds. There's all kinds of mutual funds. And he was just very tickled with, and he'd done very well, very tickled with how diversified he was. And I had to point out to him that he wasn't as diversified as he was because he didn't know what he didn't know. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. And today we're talking about it's a wonderful life, or let's make it a wonderful retirement. And AAA, we've gone through a few different things. We've gone through ways that people can win with charitable giving. We talked about not so wonderful life in retirement and some of the pitfalls and downfalls that we've seen in that real life experiences. Some people we've helped get out of those problems, and some people were just too far gone. And now we're focused on it's a wonderful retirement. And if possible, if there's such thing as a free lunch, what that would look like. There's a free gift of a free lunch, right? And so it sounds like you're about to tell us about a listener who has the perfect portfolio of diversification.
At least that's what he thinks, right? But the biggest problem with that is, it's lined up beautifully according to what the Wall Street firms with what they want him to think. He's thinking right in line with the herd mentality. That's all great, right? But what that is, those investments are all correlated. They means that they all are going to do what the market does. They're some form of the stock market. Some may not go up as high as the stock market goes up. Some may not go down as much as the stock market goes down, but they're still going to go up and down with the market. It's kind of like the tide, right? The ships on the ocean, when the tide goes out, they all go down. Doesn't matter if they're new ships, old ships, big ships, small ships, motorboats, sailboats, doesn't matter. When the tide comes in, they all go, right? They all go up when the tide comes in. So, and that's what those mutual funds are all going to do. And then if you look at it, a lot of times it's just collecting. It's not diversification. It's just collecting. Yeah, I mean, because if you look at Apple, how many of those stocks have Apple in it or have the Magnificent Seven, as they call it, right? Apple and Tesla and whatever, the different NVIDIA, right? Within there, that many times it's those 7 stocks that are driving so much of the market in so many other ways. But that's not true diversification. That's a form of diversification, but it's kind of like the difference between people in our audience, having a 15, 16-year-old son or daughter saying, hey, are you done cleaning your room? Are you done, with your homework? Yeah, Mom. Yeah, Dad, I'm done. And then you go and you check it. And yeah, there's a form of done. They sit their hand to clean in the room. They sit their hand to their homework, but it's not completed properly. And true diversification means that they are truly diversified, uncorrelated. When some things are up, other things are down, and vice versa, because the whole thing about investing is buy low, sell high. So if you've got things that are up and other things are down, this is exactly what happened during COVID, right, Daniel? We took things that were up and we bought that were down so that we were able to compound our clients' portfolios and help them to make significant progress.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at a portfolio and it says it's diversified, you have to think, how is it diversified? Just because you got a bunch of funds that have a bunch of diversified sounding names, you need to think about, is this really diversified? Because if it's just a bunch of funds that own other funds or own companies in something that does what you're looking for, then you have to wonder, doesn't that mean I just own a bunch of funds that own equities? Which means even though it's saying it's World Copper Fund, it's a bunch of equities in there. You don't own copper, right? Because it's saying you're this or you're that. Like, it's a fund, and a fund is an equity.
It's a stock of a company.
That owns whatever it is, right?
Right.
And so you have to be very careful of that. And the reason, I guess some people will be like, you guys are beating this stuff up off. I guess the reason is because you go through cycles. And when you get towards the end of the cycle, when you get towards the top, people start thinking and saying ridiculous things. And lately, it's just really been bothering us, because when we hear things like, it's free money putting your money in the S&P, or it's guaranteed to get you 8%. These are ridiculous signs that you're getting towards the end of a cycle, and it means you need to be careful. That does not mean that equity markets are not going to continue to go up. That does not mean that your diversified portfolio is not going to go up. What it means is you haven't tested it against a real tough time yet. And when you hear these ridiculous things, or when you go to a party and everybody's talking about how much money they made, that's when you're getting closer to the end of the cycle, and you need to start being wise about your investments.
Exactly. And Dan, I got to believe that most people listening to this show right now would not want 100% of their money in the stock market right now. I mean, there might be some that want 90%, but not 100%, right? But most of them are probably going to want a lot less. And that's what we're talking about, is that there are other ways to be able to invest your money. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Merry Christmas to you. Well, you're listening to this because people don't know what people don't know, and that you're going to learn something on the show today. We've got this report that we'd love to put in your hand for free. It's called the Retirement Risk Report paper. It tells you how to not outlive your money. And this thing will educate you and help you to want to know how you can get a retirement risk report done. And we'd love to be able to have that done for free for you. And you can have this paper for free by calling us at 800-725-7616 for your free copy, the Retirement Risk Report, RRR, ask for it by name. And you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today's topic is It's a Wonderful Life. It's like George Bailey had a wonderful life when he realized it at the end and was so grateful for those that cared for him. We're coming to you today trying to give you a free gift of financial independence and be able to help you know what you don't know. Daniel, it's a wonderful life, and it's a wonderful life for people that have more than enough income to live the rest of their life the way they want to live. Emphasis on want, right? Because so many times while people are raising families and doing different things, it's like, well, we don't need that, so we're not going to buy it.
Right.
We don't need that. And that's all fine, and that's all good, and that's how they got to where they are today. But I'd like to give the example of somebody I was talking to. I was in an RV park with our RV one time a couple of years ago, talking to this gentleman from Rhode Island. And I was in Florida with him. He says, yeah, I keep an RV down here in Florida. And my house is in Rhode Island. And I have an RV in the mountains of New York. And I just bought another boat, he said. I said, you just bought another boat. What do you need another boat for? He said, yeah, that's what my wife says. What do I need? She does. And the answer is, it's not that he needs another boat. He wants another boat. And he can afford another boat because he did all those things during when they were raising kids and everything else so that they could do that today. Now, you may not want another boat. You may not even want any boat. You may not want an RV anywhere. It doesn't matter. But what do you want? And will you be able to get what you want? And we'd like to give you that gift today to open up your mind and think, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for retirement? Because what you want and what you need are two different things. And what you need in retirement is what you need to be able to retire and sit on the couch watching the news all day. What you want in retirement is what you want to be able to go on extravagant trips like to Bali or to India or wherever, all kinds of different, around the world, right? We've had clients that have gone around the world. But what do you want in retirement? And is your portfolio set up to be able to give you what you want? Or is your portfolio set up to take from you, forcing you to stay home and watch the news?
Yeah, AAA. That's exactly right. It's about what you want, and the confidence and the wonderful retirement comes from having that income, more income than you need to do the things you want. We had a guy come in, and he sat down with me and he said, Daniel, all I want is $40,000 a year of income. I'll be thrilled to death if I can get that. His current portfolio was doing $25,000 a year income. I said, how about we get you 50? He said, okay. And today, right, a few months later, his portfolio is pumping out 50,000 and he's not in the stock market. He's not in the stock market. He's in these things. He's in the fixed income market where he's getting paid by his investments instead of hoping that the markets go up.
Wow.
And that's what you're talking about. More income. The perfect retirement is more income than you need to have the lifestyle that you want to have.
Wow, Daniel, that's phenomenal. You were talking earlier about a 20% increase in income, a 50% increase in income, which is, I'm sure some people on our show, unbelievable to think of those numbers. But you just gave us an example of a real life client of ours that you increased his income 100% from what it was previously. Wow. And you and I both know that's because people within our industry don't know how to create income the way we do, because that's our specialty. Most people in our industry are generalists that are helping people to grow their money and accumulate their money. But when you're in retirement, that doesn't work so well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a tough industry. There's a few of us out there that specialize in and that do this type of thing. But as we've spoke about, because of the marketing machine of these big, huge fund companies,
right,
it's not encouraged. There's not people that are like encouraged to get into what we're doing. They're encouraged to go join these big marketing firms and put people into funds. And you miss out on a lot of the benefits and diversification we've been talking about today.
And
you miss
treasures.
out on that free gift.
That's right. And the treasures. We like to treasure hunt, right, Daniel? Well, you've been listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic has been, "It's a Wonderful Life." We hope that you're having or had a Merry Christmas. Well, I guess this is going to air just before Christmas, so I hope that we wish you a Merry Christmas. And we want you to remember that Jesus is the reason for the season. And there would not be Christmas if Christ wasn't born. And in the spirit of Christ, of God giving of his only son to come to this earth so that there might be peace on earth and goodwill toward men, we have a book called The Gratitude Journal that we would love to give all of you who are listening today a copy of that. Call us at 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616 for your free copy. This Gratitude Journal is a journal where you can list minimally, I encourage you, three things every day that you're grateful for. We have a lot of things as Americans that we're grateful for. Daniel, I'm grateful for you. And Daniel, I'm grateful for your mother. And there's a lot of things. Look, there's two right there. And I'm grateful for this, being able to have this radio show to be able to educate you, our listening audience. I'm grateful for you listening to us, because without you, there is no us. And so I appreciate you. And we have this gift, and I'd love to put it in your hand. 800-725 for your free copy. Also, let's try that again. 800-725-7616 for your free copy of the Gratitude Journal. And we wish you a Merry Christmas, but educated retiree is a happy and stress-free retiree. We're glad to educate you. Merry Christmas.